Do you have any idea of how many of the Project Claudia charges are still before the courts, and how many have already been stayed?
The majority of the charges in the Project Claudia matter have been withdrawn. Some people were offered peace bonds in exchange for the withdrawal of their charges. Some of the marijuana dispensary owners were fined. So I expect that there's not very much cases within the pipeline out of the 70 cases that first came about as a result of the Project Claudia arrest.
But I guess it's hard to know for sure how many.
A good guy to talk to is Kirk Tusa in Vancouver.
Yeah, I've been in touch with Kirk today and yesterday and in the past as well.
Because he represented the majority of the persons.
Oh, okay.
He represented the marijuana dispensary, a lot of the marijuana dispensaries. So Jack Lloyd, who was acting on his behalf in Toronto, dealt with a lot of the cases.
I was in touch with Jack earlier today just by text because he's in court. I think they're wrapping up soon, actually, but he's representing the Emerys right now.
That's right. He just texted me and told me he's coming out to court because people have been calling him, and when they don't reach him, they're calling me. So I've had a lot of calls from the media today.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he just texted me and told me he's in court right now. So I guess they're trying to work out something on the bail front.
Oh, right.
So
yeah, Kirk just texted me 4 minutes ago actually to say they should be out soon, and Jack had texted me about an hour ago. So I mean, when Project Claudia first came, in the immediate aftermath, Toronto police said that they had arrested 90 people and laid 186 possession charges and 186 possession for the purpose of trafficking and 71 proceeds of crime charges. So that's 90 people. It's 100 or 250 charges or something.
That's right, because in most of the cases there were three different counts. All the three counts that you just read out. Those were the three counts that they charged most of the people that they arrested.
Right.
So most people were charged with three counts of under the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act. Sorry.
So out of that, there's 250 some odd charges. Do you have an idea, if you had to estimate how many are still before the courts, or how many could result in a conviction?
I would say that probably less than 5%, if that much, would result in a conviction. As far as I understood it, the police were going to, the resolution called for the owners of the marijuana dispensaries to pay a fine and to not reopen in the same spot that the police raided. That's what my understanding is. Most of the people that were arrested were bud tenders or sort of store clerks and security at the doormen and so on and so forth. So those people the charges were withdrawn against them unconditionally.
Charges were withdrawn unconditionally.
That's right.
Because the Crown felt there was a lack of.
There was no reasonable prospect for conviction.
Yes. Okay, and how many, if you had to guess, how many of those, is that you say that's most of the people that were arrested, most of the 90?
Well, I would say so, yes. I mean, you have to remember that these people that were arrested, if you were to sort of quantify the sort of cost to prosecute these cases of people who haven't committed any serious crimes. I mean, when you think about it, the government has said that it's taken steps to legalize this stuff, right? Legalize marijuana dispensaries, legalize marijuana. Marijuana is legal in certain circumstances right now for
Yeah.
people who have a certificate, you know. So it's what is going on right now is a complete waste of
Yeah.
public and private resources. It's
So both yesterday's or like this week's arrests and raids, as well as Project Claudia, do you think both of them are a waste?
a complete waste. The fact that they would go after the Emerys is quite, sinister.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one has to wonder whether there's a political motivation for going after the Emerys. The government has already signaled its intent, even though I see there's a statement saying that they're going to move back the date to 2018. But what goal would the government accomplish in sort of closing down all those places that they raided across Canada this week? I've gotten calls from Vancouver, Ottawa, all over the place about raids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the government intends to. I don't know what the government intends to accomplish here, but it seemed to be colorable.
Sorry, pardon me. It seems to be.
It seems to be sinister because these marijuana dispensaries are not operating in a cloak and dagger fashion.
Yeah.
They're actually quite in the open. They're storefront operations, and they pay their taxes. They require people to produce their certificate. I'm not sure what the government intends to accomplish here, but what I do know is that there are a lot of big syndicates. Shoppers Drug Mart want to get in on it in Ontario.
Yes, yeah.
And the LCBO wants to get in on it.
Yeah.
And then we have the former chief of police for Toronto, William
Blair,
who is spearheading the operations on behalf of the federal government. A clear conflict of interest to put up. How we're going to move forward on making the stuff legal.
Now, the Toronto police have obviously taken a very different approach to dispensaries than the Vancouver police have. Vancouver police have chosen a sort of relatively hands-off approach, and they only kind of are doing enforcement if there's specific complaints or problems about selling to minors and things like that. For the most part, they're letting dispensaries operate. There haven't been any big Project Claudia-style raids in Vancouver. What I'm wondering, do you... if the Toronto police if the Toronto police got computers and things like that from the Emerys by doing raids here and in Toronto, because they raided the cannabis culture headquarters here in Vancouver, do you think that might that have some impact later on as far as tracking down the sources where the Emerys get where they get their supply from?
Well, yeah. If the police can use the intelligence, obviously it depends on what the search warrant says. So stepping back, it depends on what the search warrant authorizes them to do. So if the search warrant authorizes them as well to seize the computers, to seize the cell phones, and so on, then the police would seize it. And then if they have reasonable grounds to believe that there's something in there that can assist them, they need to have a production order as well.
Right, okay.
That
might take some time.
Probably, because I suspect that the Emery's, Jodie and Marc, would be savvy enough to have their computers and stuff password protected. that, you know, somebody
Right.
can't just pick their computers up and just go into it and
Yeah.
access the content.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're password protected.
Right.
And I mean, they have very good counsel. Cortusa is quite a
Yes.
veteran in this area, so he would know what to do and how to handle any sort of excesses or fishing expedition on the part of the police.
Right. Now, like I say, the Vancouver police and the Toronto police are very different, but why the Emerys? There's all these different dispensaries that have popped up across the country. Why did the Toronto police decide to put this much time and resources into this, like, multi-jurisdictional, 11, simultaneous raids? It's a big operation. Why did they decide to target the Emerys?
Well, it could be, you know, the government, the minister, Philpott, made a statement yesterday or the day before. And, you know, the police are probably trying to send a message that until the legislation goes through Parliament, until the new legislation becomes law, this is illegal. And how clear of an example do you send than to arrest the prince and the princess of pot?
Yeah.
You know, sending a message. You know?
Yeah, interesting. Now, one thing I saw was interesting. I got the copy of the indictments yesterday, faxed over from the old City Hall courthouse. And I don't know if you've seen these documents, if you haven't seen these already, but it outlines, you know, the allegations against the Emerys, and they're alleged to have committed conspiracy to commit an indictable offense and to commit trafficking. And the timeline of the offenses is between the 27th of May in 2006 and yesterday.
Sorry,
So
from 2006 until today?
From May 27th, 2016.
Oh, 2016. Oh, that's around the time they launched Project Claudia.
It's one day after Project Claudia.
Yeah.
So Project Claudia, all the raids were May 26th.
Yeah.
And then on May 27th, the Emerys opened that cannabis culture on Queen Street and said, hey, we're going to be selling. So I can send you an email if you want to see these documents too, if you're interested in seeing them.
Sure, send them.
But yeah, basically, like, these allegations, that's the exact dates that they cover, is May 27th, one day after Project Claudia. Does that signify anything to you?
Well, I suppose what it signifies is that it could be that the police looked at Emery's behavior as defiance in the face of their past operation that turned out to be a waste of time and money anyway. And like I said, it seems like they're trying to send a message. I mean, these projects cost hundreds of thousands of dollars in public and private resources, and they take up a lot of court time, and they take up a lot of resources, both of crown lawyers and defense lawyers and judges of the peace. I mean, one of the justices of the peace today had to be taken out on an ambulance.
I saw that. I heard that. Yeah.
You know, the case probably was so stressful on her, almost killed her. You know, the decision that she had to make probably. But you know, I mean, Toronto police is complaining, right? They're complaining that they don't have enough officers on the street. They're complaining that they don't have enough financial resources. And yet they're targeting these pot shops, these marijuana dispensaries, and putting these marijuana dispensaries in a very awkward position. Because if the police are sort of antagonistic towards marijuana dispensaries, then the criminals on the street as well know that. And so you're having the owners of the marijuana dispensaries in a double bind. They're fearful of a police raid on the one hand, and the next hand they're fearful of being robbed or invaded by criminals.
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
so they've certainly put the owners of the marijuana dispensaries in a very, very difficult position.
Yeah.
Those are the concerns that I'm hearing right now from people, from owners that contact. They're fearful of the police and they're fearful of the criminals. They're trying to run a legitimate operation, and they're being hassled on both fronts.
Yeah. Now, how many of the Claudia defendants, of those 90 people, how many did you actually represent? Was it just the one, or?
I represented one defendant, but in my group there were 15. There were 15 defendants, individual defendants who were store clerks and bouncers at the door.
So people that you knew, or that you had kind of knew of their case, that you knew the details of the case.
Yes, because myself, there were 3 lawyers on the case. There was me, Jack Lloyd, and Karen MacArthur, on representing one group.
So between you, Jack Lloyd, and Mr. MacArthur's?
Karen, female.
Oh, Karen. I'm sorry, you said Karen. So Karen.
Yeah.
Between the three of you, you represented a group of 15 individual defendants.
That's right, and the Crown asked for statutory declarations from the defendants, and the statutory declaration basically said that they were not the owners of the marijuana dispensaries, that they did not have control over the operation of the dispensary. They simply worked there, and on that basis, the charges were withdrawn.
For all 15?
Yes.
The charges against all 15 in that group were withdrawn?
Yeah. Some of them, the charges were withdrawn, but they had to sign a peace bond because they may have had other charges as well.
Right.
So some of them didn't have one charge or one set of charges arising from Project Claudia. Some of them had other charges arising from other raids of other marijuana dispensaries or other charges unconnected with the marijuana dispensary operations.
So,
but none of them were criminally prosecuted in the sense that they have to go to trial.
No. And so the peace bonds kind of require them, to keep the peace and good behavior, and
That's
maybe
right.
not work at a dispensary in the future, things like that.
For 1 year. I think the peace bonds normally is for a year, 6 months to a year.
Okay. So it did basically just require them to agree to certain conditions for a period of time.
That's right.
Okay, and then the charges are withdrawn. They have no record.
Well, the charges are withdrawn right away. If they breach the peace bond, then it's a totally different set of charges that arise from that.
Yeah. Okay, so this when the police say, "Well, we're enforcing the law, and the law is the law." As you say, it sounds like this is more about sending a message than about pursuing people criminally.
Well, yeah, because when you think about it, the police can stand on any street corner, and they can arrest people for crossing on the red light. They can arrest people for smoking in front of a doorway. They can arrest people for any number of different offenses. If you want to fill a courthouse up with persons who are arrested, it's very easy to do, but it's all a matter of discretion in a democracy, isn't it? If you want to find you can come where I am on Bay Street, and you can stand up here and you can arrest towers and towers of these people on Bay Street here that's doing any number of crimes, whether it's real estate fraud or investment frauds or so on. Where I am is the pantheon for white collar crime. The geographic area where I work is Bay Street, right? But the police don't do that. They exercise their discretion.
Yeah.
And it's no different with marijuana dispensaries, right? You're in a the government made an announcement, and Trudeau put in his mandate statement for after he was elected. He mandated at least 3 ministers to work in conjunction with each other and various stakeholders to move this file forward towards legalization. Right? And obviously it sends a signal that this economy that has been on the ground or that has been uncertain for a while, the government is taking steps to regularize it. Right? It's like taking all these zombie laws out of the criminal code. Right? It's like trying not to criminalize people who shouldn't be criminalized.
Yeah.
You know, so that is what is going on. But the government, but they're not moving with the haste that they should move with.
Yeah.
And for reasons unknown to me, the police are taking an approach. They're taking a big stick approach that doesn't help.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. It doesn't save any cost. It does very little to assist in crime prevention.
Now, one quick question. I'll let you go in a minute here, Mr. Peters, but about, and I know this is kind of, I've read previous interviews with the Emery, so I've talked to both of them before as well, but their supply, obviously, they're not allowed to be supplied by the licensed producers in Canada. So do you know, and even not talking about the Emery specifically, but about dispensaries, where do most of these dispensaries get their product from?
Well, I'm sure there are different means of supplying marijuana dispensaries with the products that they sell. I mean, there's pipelines all throughout the United States and Mexico.
Yeah.
It's the same way how illegal guns and other things come into Canada. I mean, there are pipelines that funnel any number of things. I mean, marijuana and all those kind of things are multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar industries.
Of course.
And that's why you want to take steps to regularize them, so that instead of criminal syndicates profiting, it's the taxpayers that profit.
Yeah. So, excuse me. The product that's sold in most dispensaries, does that come from out the back door of licensed producers, or does it come from personal growth, licensed personal growers who are selling excess, or does it come from organized crime controlled grows? Do you have is it a mix of all of those? Or?
Well, it could well be a mix. I can't comment from my knowledge of the cases, because I've seen what the police disclosed in Project Claudia.
What did they disclose?
Well, I can't discuss that. You see, that's the thing.
I see what you mean.
I can't discuss that, but all I can do is agree with the combination of the 4 scenarios that you put forward.
Yeah.
I can agree with that, but I can't discuss what I know based on on the file that the Crown provided to me, because of course they made us sign a confidentiality agreement that we're not going to disclose it.
So you can't discuss specifics on Project Claudia or on Project Gator, which was yesterday's bust. But
well, we can discuss information that the Crown give us in furtherance of the case. What the fruits of their investigation. We're not allowed to discuss what they produced to us.
But if I quote you on saying that, like the product at dispensaries probably does come from some combination of those different sources.
You could quote me on that. You can quote me saying that.
Yeah, okay. And do you have any idea, do you think, is in some cases, is it getting moved across, like from province to province, or do you have the impression that most of it's like locally grown?
No, because sometimes you have cases where, I mean, to be quite frank with you, the easiest way to move products across Canada, and the police have caught on to it, is on those Greyhound buses.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah.
Does that still happen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the major drug busts, that the police do are arresting people at Greyhound stations.
Yeah. And some of that sort of province to province shipments could be ending up behind dispenser counters.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, because they have no legal means of supply chain, I guess, right? At this time.
it's no different from bootleg liquor or anything
Yeah,
else that end up behind counters of certain stores.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for your time, Mr. Peters. It's really interesting talking to you. Now, you said that the group you worked on represented 15 Project Claudia defendants. Out of curiosity, just if you had to ballpark, how many different defendants did you kind of hear about or get any indication about, like, or did you just know about the sort of the fate of those 15 people, or did you kind of hear from other lawyers about others?
What I know is that the majority of well, what I know, I'll just tell you what I know. I know that the
Sure.
majority, I'll just speak to you in broad terms because
Yes.
I don't want to disclose anything confidential
Yes.
that I'm not
Yeah.
supposed to disclose. What I will say is what I said to you before.
Yeah.
The majority of persons who worked in the dispensaries as either security guards or bouncers, doormen, or clerks, the charges were withdrawn on the production of a statutory
Yes.
declaration.
So not just the ones that you know about, but the majority of the 90 that were charged
That's right.
already withdrawn.
Right. Those that had other cases in the system, whether it's a result of other marijuana dispensary raids or other cases, they were put on a peace bond,
Yeah.
and there were negotiations with the owners of the marijuana dispensaries to pay a fine and not to reopen in the same location and
Great.
to forfeit the
Right.
products that the police use.
Great.
That is
Okay.
what I know about Project Claudia.
Perfect.
A complete waste, a colossal waste of public and private resources, if you ask me.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yes.
Thanks so much for your time, Mr. Peters. Good talking to you.
Yeah, same here, man. Goodbye.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good day. Cheers.
Yep. So that was an interview with the Vancouver Sun.
Yeah, I was like, and then after you told me about it, it explains because you were like, I've been getting a lot of calls all over